John. All right, so this first shot, what I'm really looking for is head position and hand and arm entry. And I always like this angle first because people always look really good doing this. And you're not shocked right off the bat. So, overall, let's blow this up just a little bit. We'll zoom in here and move it in. So, looking at it in slow motion. Okay, here, what I'm looking at here is, I think you do tend to swing over here. What I'm looking at, though, is the back of your hand. Yeah. And you said this shoulder is sore? That left shoulder is sore?
Both really, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, so what I would like to see on that is more of a flat hand entry. By coming over like this, so if you would do me a favor, just hold your hands right out in front of you like that. Now, if you take your thumbs and pull them way over, can you feel how that impinges on your shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay, so by doing that over and over again, every time you do that, you're impinging on that shoulder.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to get you to do is do a flat hand entry.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to do a drill. It's called, where are we? Broken arrow drill. And we're going to get you to kick on your side. We'll work on that first. And we're just going to get you to, your arm goes straight up. You break the arrow, and then the hand stabs in. So we'll just slow that down a little bit. Your hand goes up. The arrow breaks. And then the hand goes in nice and flat.
Okay.
And that will relieve a lot of that impingement. Now, some of that shoulder pain may be coming from that. So I used to do that really hard. I have a torn rotator cuff in here that I've managed to be able to avoid surgery because I've just flattened out my hand. And one other thing, but we'll get to that.
Would that cause me to cross over? Because I
it
find
could.
My
If your hand, what's that? You breathe to both sides, which is pretty good.
We'll
see from the overs.
The left, though.
If you favor the left, then you probably pull to the left.
I have a actually I pulled more to the right. For
okay,
some
well
reason.
when we look at the overhead shot, we'll see.
No,
we'll get a better idea.
But I don't know if it's just that could also just be the current and stuff like that.
Could be. What I find though is usually if somebody breathes to one side, they usually pull that way a little bit more because our biggest mistakes are made when we breathe. Everybody does the same thing. So every time you go to breathe, instead of coming out, a lot of people come over. And as you keep going over and over and over, you're pulling to whatever side.
Gotcha.
Not always. Gotcha. If you're crossing over one side more than another, that may be the issue. So, all right. And then watching the other hand come over. And that's doing the same thing. See how I can see the palm of your hand?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a great drill for you. One of the things you want to think about is the images. If there was a pool full of, if the sideline was full of families and you wrote a nasty word on the side of your hand, you don't want them to see that nasty word. So you want to come over on that.
Gotcha.
Your head position overall looks pretty good. It comes up a little bit when you breathe. That's actually a little bit higher than I thought it would be. Let's see the other side. Let's back that up. The fact that you can bilateral breathe is huge, because we will work on that a little bit more. Let's see which side you're going to breathe on here. Hopefully I want to see you breathe towards me. Okay, here we go. It comes up a little bit higher. Not too bad though. Not too bad. What I'm looking for more is if we look at John Van Hazel. If you Google world's smoothest swimmer, this is who comes up most of the time. He's an Australian Olympian. I just want you to go back. Just want to go back a couple frames here, just so you can see head position. So, if we go with the straight line, the water line, and then see how his head is now of course he's swimming super fast.
Right.
But you see how his head makes this beautiful bow wave?
Yeah.
And his eye, although it's not under the water here, is actually really below the water. He's just made such a beautiful bow wave with his head that he does not have to lift his head. If you lift your head, anytime something in the front end goes up, something back here is going to come
Go
down.
down. Yeah.
So we want to keep our head as flat as possible and not lift it to breathe. You may be holding your breath. We'll get a better idea of that when we look at the underwater shot. That may be an issue, and we'll play with that a little bit. But that's the ideal right there.
Gotcha.
Keeping that head fairly low. Now in the open water, this is a pool. Open water is always going to be a little bit different, but you can still create that bow wave with your head. And you know, if it's super choppy, then you might have to lift your head a little bit more. But again, you always want to start out with the ideal and then adapt to whatever you need to adapt to.
Yep.
So, not terrible at all. Not terrible at all. But we definitely want to work on the 2 hand entries. And yeah, you do the same thing, both sides, which head's coming up a little bit high here. Not terrible. So we will definitely play with some hand entry stuff. And we'll watch your head position when we get you back in the pool. Now, this is the money shot. This is where we look at just about a little bit of everything. Breathing, body position, how well your catch is doing, kick, a little bit of everything. So let's just kind of run through it. Zoom out. So, general impression, pretty good. Pretty good. We got a lot of things we want to tighten up a little bit though. All right, so first thing I want to really see is how well you're breathing underwater. So it doesn't look too bad. You're definitely blowing out, but I do this with almost everybody. We're just going to do some sink down drill. And it's just a good way to get you breathing out really well. This guy here, I want you to watch that on the second time down. He's waving himself down. He's not sinking so much as he's pushing himself down.
Yeah.
He's got chipmunk cheeks. He looks like he's blowing out, but he's really holding a lot of breath in his diaphragm.
Gotcha.
So we're going to work on that a little bit. We're going to give you a mantra to do in the pool that's going to help you with your breathing. You can play with. I always like to touch on. I've had super fast swimmers in here that really hold their breath.
Huh.
So a lot of times when people feel like, you know, when you get that, I'm not breathing well in the water, and you think I need more air, I need to breathe more. It's actually the CO2 is building up in your system because you're not blowing out enough into the water. So that when you turn to breathe, you don't have enough time to really breathe in. You're breathing out and then trying to get in at the same time. So it's always good to tune up the breathing. I've never had anyone say, "Oh, I should not have. I wasted my time with that." You are definitely an overglider. All right, and what I mean by an overglider is you have a long pause out at the front of your stroke. Stop, 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 stop. So, why is that bad? And I know this is something, I did total immersion years ago. I actually did a lesson with Terry Laughlin, who's passed away. Super nice guy, loves swimming. Swim Smooth doesn't exactly agree with a lot of the total immersion stuff. To me, this would be like, since you're a cyclist, you can really understand this. When you go out and pedal your bike, this would be like stomping on the pedal as hard as you could and gliding, stomping on the pedal as hard as you can and gliding.
Gotcha.
You're speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down. What's the best way to ride? At a constant power or pace or constant pressure on the pedals. Good cycle. We want constant catch and pull. So we're going to work on your tempo. Your stroke rate is fairly low. We may at the end play with the tempo trainer. It has a tempo mode. Some of the other drills that we're going to do sometimes just automatically lift your stroke rate. So I may or may not do that at the end.
Gotcha.
But to me, because one of the other things that's happening, and the reason there are so many different reasons not to do that, but when you pause, look at your kick. See your leg right here?
Yeah.
You've got a huge, huge bend in that. I mean, I realize that's approximate, but when you're doing that, you're just pulling. You've just made a tremendous amount of. I want you to think of yourself as a nuclear submarine, that big nose cone, and you're going to plow through the water, and then the rest of yourself you're going to pull through the water. So if we look at Rebecca Adlington, who was a British Olympian. She broke Janet Evans' 800-yard record. After Janet had held that for a zillion years, 20 years I think, she broke the record. I just want you to see her when she swims on her side and her kick. So, if we take a line, we go at the top of the water, and we take a line and we go about the bottom of her body. It's approximate. Those aren't.
Yeah.
Notice how her legs and feet, they don't come out of that zone. Now the line's moved a little bit, but you get my.
Yeah.
There's a little bend in her knee.
Yeah.
But not a lot. What's happening with your stroke is, as you pause, you then need that big kick to get yourself moving again.
Right.
So you're overemphasizing that kick. And then when that kick comes out like this, you're just pulling so much extra water behind you.
Gotcha.
That you don't need to. So we're going to have you do torpedo kicks off the wall. Where's my torpedo kick? This is Paul going on a long time about it, but we'll have you do, he's talking about, just going to have you torpedo kick off the wall in a nice streamline. Then you stop, and I have you swim back to the wall using that kick. Before that, we're going to have you do a little ballet kicking on the side of the pool, just so you get a feel for what your kick should be like.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't think you were going to come and learn ballet at the pool today. So, and he's still talking. Paul can talk even more than I can. And then he's just swimming back to the pool using that kick. All right, so we'll definitely work that with you, because that's really, really hurting you a lot in your stroke. It is, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you have actually nice flexibility in your ankles. You're not, like I get a lot of runners who come in here and their toes are pointed right down towards the bottom of their pool.
Oh.
And their feet, besides kicking like that, their feet are anchors.
Oh, wow.
So you're not doing that, which is great. And the kick itself isn't bad. We just need to tighten up those knees. Your overall body position, you ride fairly high in the water. I think if we get that pause out of there, it's going to bring you up even a little bit more. And I think some of the breath holding, when you hold all your breath up here,
yeah,
that causes this end to rise a little bit, and then anything that comes up this end comes down there. So I think just some tightening up that kick will be a real plus. And then here, now again, this is going to go back to the broken arrow drill we're going to have you do, but watch how your hand comes in here. So first of all, your hand comes in, and it comes over, and it's crossing over in front of you. I think we'll see that from the above shot. And then look, right here.
Putting the brakes on.
You are, that's it exactly.
Yeah, someone told me that before.
Every time you're swimming,
yeah,
you're stopping yourself. So by doing that broken, we're also going to have you do some other drills. So to get to the broken arrow drill, we're going to have you kick on your side before you do anything. This will be one of the primary drills that we have you do. And the reason we're going to have you to kick on your side is that's right. That's the start of your catch, right there. That's the position. Fingertips below your wrist, below your elbow, and you've engaged. Look how Paul's lat's engaged. You can just see it bulging out.
Yeah.
Just out. And he's in the right position. Shoulder blades are back. His top arm is relaxed. And he's just in the perfect position to start his catch. Okay?
Gotcha. Yep.
And it's also a breathing exercise. Notice how he long exhale, quick and long exhale, and then in. So we will have you do that.
Okay.
And then from that, we'll have you do the 616 drill, which is basically the same thing, but you're kicking on your side, kick like 6 times, and then you just switch arms.
Okay.
And then from there, we'll be able to get you to do the broken arrow
Yeah.
drill. But again, this is all about using good form. Notice how Paul's hand, one of the beautiful things that you can use here is the center of the lane. And
Yeah.
he's a little off right here. It might be just a camera angle. But his head is right in the center of the lane. And his hand is right just on the outside of the lane. Right there, perfect. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you're in the pool
Yeah.
by yourself,
Yeah.
and you got a lane to yourself, don't be afraid to use that line
use
down
the
the center.
line,
That's a great visual cue. So we will have you do that, and that will help. That will help you with this. And then there's the big pause, and you're breaking the whole time. Now, this is a great shot because you're going to breathe. Every time we breathe, this is not just you, John. This is...
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
What I'm going to guess is going to happen here is your hand is going to go down and not back. So it's going down, down. See how straight that is? See how much pressure you're putting on your shoulders?
Yeah.
Now this hand comes in. It does. You do get to a nice position eventually, but when you're on that breathing side, that hand's a little deep too. That right hand goes a little bit deep. Now when you go to breathe here, let's see, watch, this hand's going to push way down. Way down. What I'm looking for is for that hand to come in and then go back. It's not a very good line. But I will show you again. I'll show you again with Rebecca because she's such a talented swimmer. Her hand comes in. It's a little high. I'm not... This is an Olympian, so I can even criticize. Listen, she's not here in front of me. I'm not afraid of her, as long as she's not here. I think that's a little high. I think she's breaking maybe slightly, but everybody can make a little bit of improvement. But notice how her hand starts to come down.
Yeah.
And then right off the bat, look at her lat engaged. Then it's all her arm has come in, and then she's going straight back. That's not the line I'm looking for. Here's the line. So her arm comes in and then back. So she's pushing right along there. Her whole arm now is pushing back. How do we get you to do that? That's the question.
Yeah.
Drills. So the drills we're going to do for this, for the catch, are we're going to do skull 1. Looks pretty simple. But what this does is it really gives you a sense of when you're swimming really well, you're swimming with pressure on your wrists and your forearms. Your hands do it. Notice how Paul's hands are just barely, it's almost like a sail, just slightly angled against the water. He's not doing a breaststroke.
Yeah.
His hands are right at the point you want to get that catch. Right there. When we have you do this, if you don't do it, the beauty part of this one is if you don't do it right, you don't go anywhere. And the better you grab the water, the better you feel that pressure on your forearms, the faster you're going to move through the water. It's really, it's a great drill. And the other drill that we're going to get you to do to get this part of it, where you're getting your arm right in that position, is we will have you do the doggy drill. This one's a little more difficult, only because it's a little unnatural to keep your arms under the water.
Huh.
But what's beautiful is we'll get to the underwater shot here. Notice Paul's lats engaged. His fingertips are below his wrist, below his elbow, and the fingertips go right towards the bottom of the pool. That hand comes out. He goes a little high with it, but the fingertips come over for that high elbow catch. So if we take a look at, let's take a look at, well, we'll wait till we get to the next shot. So we're going to definitely have you do the doggy drill, for sure. We won't save Rebecca. So overall, not bad, but when we straighten out some of that better, your hands won't go as deep. We'll work on your catch, and we'll get your kick tuned up and work on your breathing. So now I quickly want to look at the overhead shot. See how much you... Oh, great. Now you've got my my sweet feet on your video forever. So now what we're looking for here is symmetry. So, let's see if we get a better shot as we move down the pool. Here we go. So here you can really see some of almost the catch-up drill. See how your hand hasn't even really started to move here?
Yeah.
And there is a bit of a crossover. So if we look, you draw a line down the center of your body. Back a little bit. It's not too bad. Not bad. How's this hand come in? That's really not too bad at all. For the most part, you're not. The main. What I'm looking at. I'm sorry. You don't even. I'm talking here. Your body is fairly straight.
Gotcha.
You see a lot of people kind of twist their body all over down the pool.
But I wonder if that's just because the wall was there as well.
It could be. That's why I tell people not to worry about the wall. I'd rather have you swim a little further out.
Gotcha.
But it could be. But right here, that's pretty nice because I'm looking at this. That's pretty good. That's what I'm looking for. Nice, straight body. Again, that side kick will help even improve that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But here is a nice shot.
Awesome.
that foot,
yeah.
You can see, we draw the line this way. Look how far outside the zone that your foot is. This just so I'm not trying to beat you down on it, John. I just want you to really see why I'm emphasizing. Well, we're gonna spend a few minutes really tightening up that kick, and I will be on you about that because that is just. I mean, that is a huge amount of drag.
Right.
Just fixing that is probably going to help you speed up a tremendous amount. Just a lot because it's something you just don't need to be doing.
Right.
Let me see, you go to breathe the other side. It comes out the other. Not as bad on this side, but it does snap way down. And then this side does. Geez, it looks like boy, you really don't though. I don't think. We go right down the center. That's a little bit closer. That's why you got to look at a couple of.
Yeah.
Everybody, you don't do the exact same thing every stroke.
Right.
It's a little bit far over. Again, when we get you side kicking.
Yep.
We'll get you side kicking. That'll help pull that arm out. But really, really not bad at all there. So, and the only last thing we want to look at, and it's only going to go to the same things we're going to work on. It's going to work on the catch. What I want you to see here is your arm position. Now you are close to the wall, but look how straight that arm is.
Yeah,
so
the one thing I keep hearing people talk about is the high elbow. And I play around with it. I just don't know.
Again,
I don't know how to.
When we get you to do the sculling, that's going to help.
Gotcha.
And the dog is really going to help with that.
Gotcha.
Because what you want to see is we're going to pull up, I'm going to pull up Shelly Taylor-Smith. Now, Shelly is a world record holder in many different open water swims. She used to be the she was at one point the #1 ranked open water swimmer in the world over men.
Wow.
What I want you to see is, this is the shot right here. Now, listen, she's a freak. And I mean that in a really great way.
Right.
She is just awesome.
Wow.
Perfect is somewhere between 100 and 120. So she's about, now these aren't, this is not perfect angles, but she's about 105 on that side. And give her the benefit of the doubt, 100. So she's not perfectly symmetrical, but you can see how high her elbow is.
Yeah.
She's using her forearm to push, and she's engaged. When you do that, when you get out of the pool, if you tried to get out of the pool, push off like this with your arms straight and straight in front of you, you couldn't get out of the pool, could you?
Right.
Because you're using your shoulder caps, which are small muscles. What do? You come in close.
Go wide.
And look, I'm in that position. I'm in her position right now with 105 or 115 degree angles. And when you do that, if you do that right now, you can do that right now. Do you feel how your lats are engaged immediately?
Yeah.
And that's why we want you to swim with. We don't want you to swim with the high elbow because it looks pretty. It does look pretty. But when you do that, you're engaging your lats. Shoulders, small muscle group. Lats, big muscle groups. When you're swimming well,
Yeah.
you should feel in your lats and your back.
Gotcha.
Not your shoulder. I mean, your shoulder. I mean, everything's engaged. Your triceps are engaged, but your triceps and shoulders, those are tiny muscles compared to what you have here.
Yeah.
That's why when you see those swimmers like the Michael Phelps of the world, they've got that beautiful V shape.
Right.
Why do they have that V shape? Well, because their shoulders are worked, but they've got huge lats.
Right.
That's where all their power is coming from.
That's
So-
probably why I'm fatiguing my shoulders too.
Yes, exactly, because you're pushing so much with the shoulders. So you're not breathing super hard there. And again, here, not terrible, but it's real. Now, see, you do come into a position here, but it's very late.
Gotcha.
So we just want you to get there earlier. That's all.
Yeah.
Again, nothing horrendous. But if we look at this is also a good angle to look at your breathing. So if we just watch your head come back in, watch your head come back in. Come on, backing up. Computer's a little slow today. It looks like you're doing some breath holding. I don't see any air coming out there at all. There's the bubbles off your hand. And there's some air there, not too bad. Big push of air there, though. And when you go to breathe, this is not the best camera angle, but you're slicing over. I can see the palm of your hand, and you're slicing over. So, again, we've got a few things to work on, but we're sure. I think you're going to pick up some time pretty easily.
Good.
All right. Is there anything you want to see before I shut this down?
No,
all right.
that's
So we're going to stop recording.